making you breakfast for Mother's Day, but we have one question. How do we work this thing? Fire extinguisher. It's what every mom wants to be woken up. Here's a card, here's some flowers. Enjoy your time off, we'll give you 2 hours. It's not easy being a mother these days. Texting in all caps just doesn't have the same impact that the good old-fashioned yelling did. Come on, boys, come on down here. We're doing children's time, so we're looking at some cartoon for Mother's Day. Oh, this one's so true. Behind every mom is a basket of dirty laundry, and I would argue 4 or 5. A mother's love is unconditional, but don't push it. I think my mom wrote that one for... If a woman speaks and no one is listening, her name is probably Mom. All right, and I'm ending with this one, because this is what we're going to talk about today. See, I told you. So that's how she does it. Happy Mother's Day to supermoms everywhere. So how many supermoms do I have here in the congregation today? A few? All right. We got some that are omitted and other ones that are still Clark Kent. They're in hiding. Have you ever had a day where you just wanted to do this? I have. Mother, come to the rescue. Well, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. That's Proverbs 22. We're going to look at Proverbs 31 today. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Yes, I read from Proverbs 31. Be honest. How many of you cringe every time you hear of Proverbs 31, right? Because as women, we cannot measure up to the bar at all. Can we? I mean, Proverbs 31, if you've read it, it's a pretty tall order. And it's hard to be able to do that little checklist, unless if you're like me, you're an overachiever, but you still feel like unbelievably overwhelmed when you look at all the different check marks that you have to be a Proverbs 31 woman. But I want to give you a huge, huge boost. This is my Mother's Day present for you, and it's total freedom. Freedom from guilt, freedom from perfection, and freedom from feeling like a total failure. Freedom to be you. So I want to ask you right now, would you be interested in knowing what the secret is? Spoiler alert. The Proverbs 31 woman does not exist. Honest to God, she doesn't. The poem was written in Hebrew. It was written by King Solomon. He says King Lemuel. I don't know why he put that name in there. But anyway, he's actually talking about Lady Wisdom for the most part. But he's talking about, it's an acrostic poem. And do you know what an acrostic poem is? It's where you take the first letter of something and then you write a line to it. So at Christmas, we all sing the song, "See is for the Christ child, born on Christmas Day, H for herald angels in the sky," right? Okay? So you take each letter of the word and you write a line for it. How many here know the song Mother? And as for the million things she gave to me, only told me that she's growing old. Yeah, we're all growing old. Tears, and her heart is pure as gold, eyes full of loving light shining, and R means right, and right shall always be. If you don't understand that one, just ask her, she'll tell you. But put them all together, and that spells what? Mother, right? It's a song. Well, so what if I told you that the Proverbs 31 woman is exactly that? But see, you wouldn't know this unless you know Hebrew. Because every line of Proverbs starts with the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Now, the Hebrew alphabet only has 22 letters. How many lines are there in the Proverbs 31 one? 22. She didn't even know the sermon ahead of time. So I did this, so I put this up. For those of you who don't know, I am taking Hebrew. And so that's why I thought this would be kind of fun, because I have been under this banner of the Proverbs 31 woman my whole life and did not know this until now. So the first line, Aleph, is A. So the first line starts with A. The second line is Bet, which is B. The third line is Gimel, which is G. Daleth, which is D. And so on. It goes to Tav, then Z, then Het, and T, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, which is M and N. Guess how many letters are in the English alphabet that are just like the Hebrew? S, Ayin, Pei, which is P, Tasadi, Kaf, Resh, which is R, and Shin, which is S. So I wanted you to be able to see that, because unless you could see it in Hebrew, you wouldn't know, would you? That's what it was. But for all these years, we have held ourselves to the standard, which are attributes to fall by, but nobody can be this Proverbs 31 woman, especially when some of it's even a little contradictory. And he's not even necessarily talking about a woman per se, he's talking about Lady Wisdom. These are the attributes of wisdom. But I want you to think about this. Did you realize that was actually the very first Hallmark Mother's Day card ever written? Way back in King Solomon's time. Oh, and another fun little tidbit that I didn't know before. Solomon's a pretty manly name, isn't it? You like the name Solomon. You know what his name is in Hebrew? Shlomo. I think that's hilarious. Well, the purpose of this poem was to draw attention to the often overlooked glory of the everyday, right? The mundane, the icky, the gross, the hard work, the thankless, the ending jobs of laundry, dishes, cooking, cleaning, hauling, loving. But he also wanted to link the attributes of a woman. And when God created man, he didn't leave him there alone. Nope, he knew it wasn't good. So he said to Adam, you need a helper. Now I want you to think about this. Every other creature, including Adam, was made by the spoken word or by dust. Woman is the only creature on this world that was ever created from something else. She was created from the rib of man. And God did that, so that way they would know that they are joined. She would be flesh of his flesh, bone of his bone, all one person. The problem is, in English, this is helper. Oh, that sounds kind of like somebody running around with the toolbox, right? No, that wasn't the point. In Hebrew, it means basically complement, right? So God made them so that way they would fit together. So the strengths of your husband are great. That's what he's supposed to have. Women aren't supposed to be identical to men, because then that would be like this, right? The women come in and fit with her strengths the things that the men don't have. It's a compliment. And that's when God looked and said it is good. And if you ever noticed, she's called what? Woman. And I'm sure it's because after Adam took a long look at her, he said, woo, man. Just my take on it. So if you would look at this with King Solomon, what he did is he says, a virtuous woman, one can find. Or in Hebrew, it is a woman of valor. Now at the Shabbat, and for those of you who are doing the Chosen Bible study with us, the second one, they actually talked about what Shabbat is, and that's the Sabbath, which is Saturday, and that's the day of rest, but that's when they have a big meal. And before that big kickoff meal, which is really Friday night, this is Friday night, Saturday night, at Shabbat, the men would get up and they would start with, a woman of valor who can find. And they start talking through Proverbs 31. Well, if you're not Hebrew or Jewish, the translation for me today in American would be, you go girl. A woman of valor who can find. Now I realize a lot has changed since King Solomon's day. But there are attributes that we really should try to aspire to, knowing that, benchmark, the bar is pretty high. The first line says that she is more precious than fine jewels. Now, this is not an invitation to quit buying her jewelry, men, just letting you know right now. Okay? And it's not a valid excuse to say, well, you're just so precious, honey, you don't really need that sapphire ring you wanted all along. So she is precious, precious. What would you do if you had a precious stone? You would keep it close to you, right? You would wear it on your finger, wear it around your neck. That's what you should do to your wives. Maybe not wear it around your neck, but you do probably most of you have a wedding ring. So remember that. If you want to live a long and happy life, the Christian comedian Jeff Adams always has the catchphrase, happy wife, happy life. She does him good, not harm. Notice that the author just leaves it at that. She does him good, not harm. She is like merchants bringing food from afar. Now, what it should say for the 20th century is it should say scouring the ads for sales, clipping coupons, hauling the food into the cart, to the checkout line, from the checkout line bagging it, from bagging it putting it in the cart, from the cart putting it on the camel, taking it from the camel home, and then when she gets home, ask for help from the children to help unload it, only to get complaining and eye rolls. Maybe that's just me. And then she has to put it all away. Or having to go to afar to bring home food from takeout or drive-thru. She gets up super early in the morning, foregoing her beauty rest to prepare a breakfast fit for the king and his servants or children. You know, I used to do this, but then somewhere along the line, they decided it was much more important to sleep than to actually eat what was already prepared and waiting for them. Or the best one that I have yet is when you slept away for 30 minutes making pancakes, only to get it makes me throw up. Thank you very much. Yes, she's laughing. So I decided very quickly that my aging body needed the beauty rest more than they did. Have you ever done the job of going over and over the listing trying to find the Proverbs 31, and she finds a property and buys it, right? Well, I've done that. I've gone through the papers and perused for homes that might be for sale or acreages that were for sale. The field of our dreams. And while I haven't planted a vineyard, I have planted many gardens and taken care of much livestock and dogs for income. So she dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. For all of you moms and wives out there that ever sweated away to the oldies or jazzercised or gone to the gym, trying to get yourself fit and trim for your man or just so you can pick up your own kids or your grandkids, while not looking as worn out as you may really feel, I say, wow, you go girl. So she makes beautiful garments. Oh boy, do I remember that one. When the kids were younger, it was a fight just to get clothes on them and to keep it on them before walking out the door. It got to the point where I didn't care what was on the body, just so long there was something on there before we left, right? If I'd spent all my time spinning their garments, I can guarantee they would not have worn them anyway. Oh, and I love the line about the cold weather and the dressing her children in scarlet. I'm not sure what that means exactly, except maybe she was a Husker fan, I don't know. But I do know that I spent more time yelling, you are not wearing that outside when it's this cold out. Get some more clothes on, really. When I was young, I would have never. Evidently, that was just me. I only see a couple minutes now. How about the helping and donating? The countless hours making something at the last minute for the bake sale. Or literally on the way into the game, can you stop at Walmart? Because they forgot, staying up all hours at night, working on a project. Or maybe making brownie costumes or Girl Scout, whatever. Perusing Amazon for fake snow for a science project that is due. Or collecting things for a good cause or charity. And hoping that every time the Spirit of God moves in my heart to give to a particular person in need, that hopefully my kids are paying attention and observing and learning by example. It says she builds her husband's character up and makes him successful and important in town. Now, you know the saying, behind every successful man is a woman. But I like the one that says, a man's success has a lot to do with the kind of woman he chooses to have in his life. Wise words. Seriously though, women, we can either build our men up or we can tear them down and leave them defeated. Honestly, we have so much influence and power over our husbands and our children. They do emulate us. And if we're not careful, we will be creating little versions of ourselves. So what version will that look like? A lot of it has to do with how we conduct ourselves. Are we raising our children and our husbands to the best possible version of themselves? Or are we still trying to control and manipulate them to serve some purpose that we want? It says, strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. I think there's a better picture of strength than of a mother who has just endured the excruciating pain of carrying a child and going through that labor and the delivery process only to lose that child. And to want to find the will to carry on. That's true strength. Or the strength of a woman who's tried forever to have children. What seems like forever to conceive and comes up empty and defeated. Or the strength of a woman who has just really tried to find a husband of virtue and of God, only to still be lonely. Or a mother who has had to experience the loss of a child through suicide. Or the loss of a husband. That is the inner strength that really makes her a superhero. Because it's at those times that she knows she can't rely on her own power. It's only through the power of God. King Solomon mentions dignity. As parents, we know, though, that all that dignity goes right out the window when you give birth to a child. And you learn that dignity has a different definition when you have to clean up puke from your third outfit in less than an hour. And when you start using words in public that you swore that you would never say, when you swallow your pride and you smile when your child or husband has just embarrassed you to tears. And when you come to the point in your life when you realize that the roles have reversed and you do need your children to help take care of you. It says she laughs at the time to come. I think this is the most important virtue. Because they say you have to laugh at things in life. If you don't laugh, you will cry. That's so true. So when you see your wife or your mother laughing at something that may not be very funny, just know that she is using every ounce of her being to decide to let God deal with this and laugh, or she will snap and it won't be pretty. So she opens her mouth with wisdom, and kindness is on her tongue. Oh, I'll never forget the first time I sounded so wise when I opened up my mouth and out came my mother. All the times that I said, I will never say those things, and yet then wisdom kicked in. And I never sounded smarter. But my children appreciated that wisdom as much as I did, with an eye roll for confirmation. And I love this line, and kindness is on her tongue. So help me God, if you don't, I will. Yep, I said that many times. If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. True wisdom is knowing that each child is different and you have to parent accordingly. What you finally figured out worked for one, doesn't work for the rest. Wisdom is knowing how to pick and choose those battles. And I love that. I'm not a perfect parent. In fact, my kids have been the first ones to admit that. And kindness has not always been the first thing out of my mouth or on my tongue. But there is more to kindness than just nice words. Kindness is having to be the harsh parent at times because your kids are out of line. Saying the difficult things because your kids are so talented and you see them wasting it. having to play the role of the parent, not their friend, to mold them into godly men and women that a society can be proud of. Kindness is modeling the way to be nice, to compliment others, even if it's a real stretch to find something to compliment them about. Just to be an encouragement, to be the example of light in this dark world, and asking God to help you overlook a person's faults and failures and see the true beauty that's on the inside. See, that's what true strength, wisdom, and beauty really looks like. It says her children will rise up and call her blessed. It was the longest time where I just wanted my children to rise up. Technology is great, though, because now we have these wonderful phones where you can text them instead of hollering. Are you up yet? I don't know about you, but that really helped the anxiety level a lot in the house in the morning with all the hollering. It says her husband praises her. Men, we know you need appreciation and your ego stroked. That's how you work. That's how God made you and wired you. But you know what? Your wife needs it too. She desperately wants to be noticed. To say, honey, you look really nice. You look awesome in that. Or thank you for. Or I really appreciate it when you. Or I love the way you. She's desperate to hear those. And trust me when I say those precious words will actually do you much help, because it will keep her from wanting to smother you at night with a pillow if you have to. That's words of wisdom for my mom. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. You know, there's an old Swedish proverb that says, looks don't last. I say it is not the appearance that leaves the legacy, but it is the heart of God that does. You know, the Red Green Show, I laugh because my husband's been quoting that here lately. He says, well, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. I was thinking of that when looks don't last. There is honor for every woman who walks humbly with God, for amazing wives and mothers, just like each and every single one of you. So just be free to be you. You're no longer held up against this unbelievable standard of a woman that doesn't exist, but is the first and best Hallmark card that was ever created. So take those attributes. Take what it means to be a woman of valor. And as you go out these doors on this Mother's Day, let me just finish with, you go girl.